The Lock Shop.
Remember in the dark days of the pandemic when we were sitting around?
Oh, yeah.
What the heck were we doing? Ping pong was huge in the first few months. But yeah, God bless the KBO. I really came to appreciate the bat flips in the KBO.
They didn't mess around, hey?
Shout out to the KT Wiz. Became my favorite team through all of this. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I'm not hitting a lot of Japanese or Korean baseball right now because there's some big games in the majors that we're hitting right now.
The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio, Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District, Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielson and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielson and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, happy Monday, everybody, and welcome inside The Lock Shop. Dusty Hus and Pete Greggy. Matt Graybar joins us as well. Maddie, you can fit the music down. There we go. What's going on, boys? Happy Monday, little Monday nighter. Lots to break down. I don't know if you guys had the over or the under on cutaways to Taylor Swift on Sunday Night Football, but Huss, you must have been keeping track, eh, buddy?
I was paying attention to it, although, I mean, listen, I'm down with, I believe in love, so I'm supporting this. However, listen, even for me, who, again, I have admitted, I am joining forces with the Swifties. I'm here for all of this. Did we need the entire Hollywood A-list in the suite last night?
Crazy.
That's what
Reynolds,
this is now, man.
That just goes to show you the power of Taylor Swift. Deadpool and Wolverine were in that box, and that was an absolute afterthought. I don't know if you saw that clip of Taylor Swift and everyone walking in, and then there's just Hugh Jackman looking so cool with like a leather jacket over his shoulder, his hair immaculate, his beard perfect, and no one even cared.
I know.
No one cared. It was all about Taylor. It was the crazy town.
It drove me nuts.
I could not pick him out of a police lineup, but I did know, I mean, his name, I've definitely heard of him. I knew he was there, and obviously I recognized Ryan Reynolds, so it was all there. But listen, we don't need to talk about Taylor Swift. We don't need to talk about Kelsey. What we need to talk about is Mahomes screwing every single person that had a Chiefs -8.5, -9 ticket last night. Now, listen, he is my guy. He's my quarterback. We needed to win that game. He did not have a great game. That was the right play. But, man, just get it in there, Pat. Fantasy, betting, everything. Like, the game went under, too, because of that. I mean, it was as they say, they're there to win games. We're here to win bets. But it was a very unfortunate end to the game for anyone that was on the Chiefs last night. But he's given us so much joy and so many wins in the past. It's just basically, it's a yellow card from bettors. Again,
he's given us so much joy in the past. Look at you trying to coat over what Mahomes did to all of us last night, Hus. It was a dick move. What can we say? Like, come on.
The thing is, this is how warped my degenerate bettor brain is. When he got up and did like the "Are you not entertained" celebration, I didn't think he was doing that to the Jets fans. I thought he was like, "Ha ha! We're not covering the spread."
All of us.
That's the first thing that I thought of. But I mean, I get it. Game's over. I mean, even if he scores, the game's over too. He probably takes a hit going into the end zone. Again, this is my degenerate brain thinking here, but you mentioned fantasy implications. I know you guys are big fantasy guys. In our group chat, one of my buddies just he just needed something out of Mahomes. I don't know the exact number, but he just needed basically whatever he didn't do last night.
Yeah.
As I don't know what the number was on him for how many points he put up. Could not have 13. Been yeah, I honestly think he needed like 18 or something like that. So him rushing in that touchdown, that would have put him over the edge.
One of the guys lost in our league too last night because of it too. Like,
you think of the spread, you think of the implications of like fantasy. Like we said, if you had a Mahomes anytime touchdown score, like so many things went into that. And at the end of the day, yes, it's the right play, but man, that was salt in the wound for a lot of people.
It was just, I mean, I was pumped because the game was over and then realized the implications of what had just happened.
You know what? The one thing
I'm going to be hearing about this one.
The one thing that, you're going to be hearing about it.
Sean McVay would never.
Well, this is the one thing, like, so, you know, McVay will go out, kick points, whatever, and we go, points for and tiebreakers and things like that. Now, maybe in a head-to-head situation, I guess, but like, I guess is there any way that those points could have helped the Kansas City Chiefs somewhere? Like, where's the tiebreaker as far as, like, I wonder if we get to a point where we're like, oh, man, Kansas City needed 6 more points to break a tie with Buffalo at the top of the – and then you're like, take that. So, I mean, if you're going to win it anyway, take the damn touchdown, man. Like, frustrating.
Yeah, listen, I mean, from a football standpoint, 100% the right thing to do, and not a lot of people have the awareness to do that. Unfortunately, there was a significant side effect. But listen, in some ways, guys, we're burying the lead. Like, I mean, Mahomes didn't look like Mahomes last night. He had a great first quarter. Then he and Zach Wilson traded bodies.
What happened?
Like, dude, I mean, Zach Wilson, never mind Taylor Swift. I think Zach became America's sweetheart there for about an hour and a half last
until
night.
The fumble.
Chris Collinsworth, I have never heard a color commentator legitimately more aroused than Collinsworth was last night as Zach started feeling it a little bit more. It was, and I'll be honest, I am kind of cheering for the guy. Like, he's been so bad to be in that position he is in that market is, I mean, listen, he's getting paid. He's in the National Football League. It's pro sports. I get it. But there is part of me that has felt sorry for him. And tell you what, man, he played his ass off last night. They were done, and then they were right back in that football game. I mean, to go from 17-0 to get it to tied, I think tells you that maybe there is a little bit of potential with Zach Wilson. Their defense is elite. I mean, they really do have a good football team overall. I mean, if he can just be average, which he was better than average for most of last night, maybe this season isn't completely lost for the Jets, especially when you look around the AFC and so many other teams that we thought were good or expected to be there have had weak starts. And still, they're still in this, so they can get a few wins.
Well, I mean, you just look over going through, his quarterback rating over the past 3 games. 38.1, 61.9, and then 105.2. He was legit. 61.8 passing complete, had 254 yards, or 45 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. Had that just backbreaking fumble, and you could see him. He was so dejected on the sidelines. He talked about it to the media after, and they even noticed, like, players coming up to you and you just look so defeated. He said, I can't make that play. That game is on me. It doesn't matter how well I played up until that point. I lost the game. And you got to feel for the guy. But you guys mentioned it, how you're cheering for him and you feel for him. I think the guys on the team really like him. Like, I think they're playing for him. I think that the narrative in in the media saying, like, oh, the Jets are punting on their season now. They know they can't win. They're going to go out and get another quarterback. The fact that they went out and got Simeon goes to show that deep down inside, I think they believe that Wilson, maybe he's not going to be that guy, but maybe there's enough game in him to support that defense. And I don't think he's going to play like that for the rest of the year. I don't even think he's going to play half to that. But Hus, like you said, if he can just limit the turnovers, become a game manager, make the throws he needs to make, this defense is so legit.
Yeah.
Maybe they sneak into the playoffs. Maybe they do.
If he could produce that level of performance that he had last night against the Chiefs, if he could play that well for the rest of the way, this team is easily a playoff team.
Yes.
Easily. It's sort of one of those things where you just can't, you can't be throwing picks and turn the ball over. And they didn't do that, with the exception, of course, of that fumble, which ended up being a big part. But it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes with the Jets right now, because as I said, they've got a lot of talent on the team. Listen, the AFC East is very, very tough, but there's a path for them to be right in the mix for a wild card spot as well. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is taking special mushrooms or something right now. He's probably going to be ready to go. They're gonna heal his Achilles in 3 months, and he'll be back for about week 12.
You mentioned the switching of the bodies and just how it looked like Mahomes was actually Wilson and Wilson was Mahomes. I imagine there was a lot of people that were watching football last night for like the first time, or, one of maybe 1 or 2 games a year because of the Taylor Swift hype. And they're probably thinking to themselves, wait a second, isn't this Patrick Mahomes guy supposed to be the best quarterback in the world? This Zach Wilson guy is unbelievable. Like, this Jets team should be so good. This guy's awesome. Like, I like banana lands.
I like to imagine Taylor Swift infiltrating the National Football League and starting this huge gambling ring of A-list celebs and using Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to just make ridiculous amounts of money for Ryan Reynolds and his beautiful wife and Hugh Jackman. Like, that's the story I want on 30 for 30 5 years from now. That would be amazing.
There's many angles to this. There's many, many angles.
Hey, Bills and Dolphins. We got to go Bills and Dolphins, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, the Dolphins.
For sure.
The Dolphins. Like, we had them on a bunch of different plays. I had them on a 7-game teaser that would have paid $1,000, and it's the only game I missed, and I teased them down to 9.5, and they still didn't get the job done. So they're dead to me, at least until I bet them in a bounce back spot next weekend.
Shout out to you for not starting with the real game of the week, Broncos Bears. But yeah, we will get into this Bills Dolphins game. Listen, I think people have been sleeping on Buffalo a little bit. People have got moved off the scent after that first Monday nighter against the Jets, and since then they have absolutely humbled the Raiders, the Commanders. But they moved up a weight class and did that to the Miami Dolphins last night. And poor Mike McDaniel, I mean, he's got to look long and hard at their defense, because I think Buffalo scored on 8 of their first 9 possessions. I mean, that was basically Buffalo's offense did to Miami what they did to the Broncos last week. And it certainly makes for an interesting AFC East race going forward. And I guess we'll see when those teams go at it in Miami later on this season, how much that game looks like it. But Patty, I'm sure the Mafia is feeling pretty good about themselves right now after a lot of soul searching coming out of week 1.
Yeah, you know what? It was a game that the whole time I'm like, oh God, like the first 4 possessions just back and forth. I'm like, all right, whoever punts first is going to lose, and it was Miami. But the defense, I was blown away with how well the Bills D played, and they have been really good, even in that game against the Jets. I know, mind you, they were going up against Zach Wilson, but the defense is what has been vastly improved, defending the run. They were stout. Sean McDermott is doing the play calling this year for the Bills as well, and he was just absolutely scheming. And most times you see McDaniels, he's the one confusing defenses. I actually feel like it was McDermott who had the Dolphins a bit confused pre-snap, and they played a perfect game plan. On the offensive side of the ball, Josh Allen, see what happens when he controls the ball, doesn't force long shots, but still has that like gunslinger mentality, still not afraid to get out and do something crazy. This team, if they can play like this, there's no reason why they can't be a Super Bowl contender. Mind you, are they going to be able to do this they're not going to be able to score 48 points every week. Let's be honest. Miami's defense or offense, I still have a lot of faith. I think they're going to be electric. I think this is going to be a playoff team. I think this is a team that the Bills and the Dolphins are going to go down to the end to battle for that division title. But with that being said, the Dolphins' D is really, really suspect. And I think they need to clean things up if they want to go toe-to-toe with the Bills. But since, that first, absolute just terrible game from Josh Allen, he's the only quarterback with an 80-plus PFF grade going forward. So he has been unbelievable since week 1. I really think that he took that performance to heart. He realized that you don't always have to take that deep shot. And when him and Stephon Diggs are clicking, man, they are a scary, scary offense. But with that being said, as a Bills fan that has been hurt so many times, I'm optimistic, but being cautious as well at the same time. Very, very good performance. But I will say this as well. I've been very mean to Ken Dorsey over the last year and a half. Really frustrated with his play calling. The last 2-3 weeks, he has been in his bag. He is calling a great game. The way that he's now utilizing Josh Allen, utilizing this offense the way it can be. And the run game's improved as well. No one really put up big numbers, but Murray, Cook, Harris, and even Allen were able to run the ball effectively.
Dusty, I listen, I don't really want to talk about this Miami game much more because of how much it killed me. I mean, it killed the partner parlay.
No, it was brutal.
And I'm not, you know what? And listen, I have been completely mediocre with the picks. This is 4 straight weeks of going 2-2. Hopefully get a 4-0 and then just kind of
get back on track. Yeah.
I don't feel so bad about the Cleveland pick. I mean, listen, finding out that Deshaun wasn't playing at 11:20 or whatever time it was a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, that was tough late like that.
Those other games. Shout out, listen, Commanders, left hand up.
That was nice, buddy.
Almost won that game. I was really hoping Riverboat Ron was going to go for 2 right there.
Oh man,
win the game, man. Go win the game. Come on.
Well, that's a move that he often does. It was interesting. He was asked about it afterwards. He said, "Listen, we just did 7 plays, 70 yards in under a minute." And I think there was some concern
that they were tired. Yeah.
Yeah. Just that they might not have.
Don't you think they're running on adrenaline though to finish this? If they just move that quickly down the field, they got the momentum. Go get it done.
Exactly. And I mean, the defense that you're going up against just ran up the field as well.
Good
they're
point.
Tired too.
Yeah.
Your name is Riverboat Ron. Your name is not let's play it safe, Ronald. Give me a break.
I do wish it was.
Go for it.
I do wish his new handle was let's play it safe, Ronald. That would be great. If he does it again, that's what we'll call him. That's what we'll call him. Oh.
It's against a division rival. You just got your ass handed to the week before. why not go for it? Why not go for it? It's a bit frustrating, but man, that Commanders team, Hus, you talked me into it. I'm glad you did, because what I saw against the Bills was not what I was expecting this week. But man, they look like they're going to be a team, all year long. As long as Sam Howell plays well, I think this is a team that's going to be pesky. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but they're going to be battling every single game.
Do we need to have a Pittsburgh conversation?
I was just about to say. I was just about to bring up the Steelers. That was bad, and I guess first, before we shit on Pittsburgh, credit where credit is due. DeMeco Ryans and what he's doing with that Houston Texans team is phenomenal. CJ Stroud looks like he is going to be a really good quarterback in this league for a decade. If you're a Panther fan that traded that number 1 pick next year and is sitting there with Bryce Young, who looks like a kid from the JV getting called up to play with the varsity league, you're very worried right now. But Pittsburgh, I gave them the benefit of the doubt after the first 2 games. And listen, we had them last week and they did win and they covered against the Raiders. But the performance yesterday, if you are a Steeler fan, if you're a Steeler backer, it has to be incredibly concerning. You can give Kenny Pickett and that offense a pass for their first 2 games. I mean, they played San Francisco and Cleveland, arguably the best 2 defenses in football. Mm-hmm. No one's tearing those teams up. But, man, you had this opportunity to get to 3-1 against a rookie quarterback on a rebuilding team, and they got their asses handed to them. I'm not sure whether this team just wasn't ready to play. That is not usually what you expect from a Mike Tomlin team, but they didn't execute. And as I say, we have to give some credit to Houston. They look that good, but this by far the most concerning performance of the Steelers so far this year. Their defense won them a game before. They seemed like they were getting a bit better last week, and then they just had nothing. And that game wasn't close. It never got close. And Houston is on the rise right now. And I don't know where that leaves Kenny Pickett over the course of the next little bit, because they put a lot into him. He sort of is their guy. But I'll tell you what, Mitch Trubisky is warming up in the bullpen. At some point, if this continues, we're going to see Mitch in behind center.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me, obviously the offense is concerning. Like, you just look at the weapons. Like, yeah, they're not loaded top to bottom, but they have some players. Najee Harris continues to just blow my mind with how he has just not been able to translate at this level. Like,
he sucks.
He's bad. He stinks. He's done. He's done. It's over. It's over. But you look at the receivers. You look up and down the roster. Offensively, they should be putting up not big numbers, but you should not be held to 6 points against Houston. But the big concern for me is the defense. Like, outside of JJ Watt, like, I really feel like we need to stop having this narrative that it's the big bad Steelers, it's the Iron Curtain. These guys are a good defensive team. Look who their coaches. They're not good. Their defense is not good anymore. They're averaging 403 yards against. That's 4th last in the NFL. Only Denver, Seattle, and the Chargers are giving up more yards per game than them. They're not good anymore. So we have to stop acting like because they wear black and yellow, they're a good defensive team. They're not a good defensive team anymore. And if their offense can't put up points, they're not going to win a lot of football games.
Couple more games that I want to get to. I do want to hop into the chat here very quickly as well. We've got some good ones. Chris says, Mahomes owner here. I lost by 1.5 points this week. That one sucks. Pat Maroon's bib on YouTube says Minnesota is going to stop the Swifty train when they serve up an L to KC. She's only there as Travis Kelce's good luck charm and will bounce when they lose. Wouldn't that be something? They drop one and she's out. That's it.
Well, hey. Not to go down this rabbit hole again, but there are plenty of theories that she locked this in for this month because her movie comes out on the 13th of October. And listen, all anyone's talking about is her and Kelsey.
Makes sense.
All this extra pub on the thing. So I
didn't even know she had a movie prior to this. So.
Yeah, well, it's a movie. It's like a live movie of the Eras tour. This is the biggest tour ever. So they basically made a movie of it. And if people, like, say you're in Winnipeg and you've never been able to get to the show, They're going to do like a 3.5-hour show of it in these big theaters, which I'm sure will be a cool experience for everyone that wants to go see it.
Cool idea.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope that she doesn't come to any more games. Like, and the good thing is she's starting her tour. She's starting her tour. And again, I'm supportive, but Kelsey is like, there's a lot on his shoulder. He's pulling the #1 star in the world. Everyone's watching. He's, it's still early. He'll be far more freed up. And I will be at the game on Sunday.
Oh boy.
In the Twin Cities for Chiefs Vikings. So we won't see Taylor, I don't think. I will be there to take her place. Might not get as much screen time as her on the broadcast. But
I want you setting up shop next to Kelsey's mom. That's what I want.
Hey, I'd love Donna.
Yeah.
I'd sit there and talk ball with Donna all night long.
Richard.
Donna had Jake from State Farm beside her.
Yeah, that's right. She did earlier. Yeah. Richard, the YouTube chat says, thank you, Patty, for the primetime parlay. I put 20 on it, equals 100. Nice work, Mr. P. Greggy. However, Brees Hall is off my Christmas list. So close. And UChat says, Patty's primetime and my KBO parlay from this morning made up for the losses from the partner parlays. We did have a nice hit in the CFL, so that was good this weekend.
Yes, right. Hey, you Chaz, anytime that you're putting in a KBO parlay, fire a tweet with me. I haven't been paying enough attention to the KBO. I love it though, and I will ride. I know you often ride with us on our exclusives.
You're gonna go with them.
Ride on a KBO put together by any lock shopper. You let me know, I'm in.
We also have Richard asking, hey, I noticed the Oilers versus the Kraken are not offered tonight on CoolBet. Is that coming later? Patty, they're just wondering. I think there's 5 games up right now. So,
yeah, so those ones will start to trickle through. I know we got the lineup for the Oilers. I think there's still some roster.
Okay, so that's what's going on there. Okay, understandable. So watch for that though.
Also, I know we've got Colorado and Pittsburgh playing in Halifax. We don't normally offer player props for exhibition games, preseason games. I think we're going to do a little exclusive for both the hometown boys to find the back.
Oh, that'd be cool, actually. Yeah.
Check the exclusive tabs. That might come a little bit later.
I didn't even know that they were playing there tonight. But if you're telling me that McKinnon and Crosby are both playing in an exhibition game in Nova Scotia, I'm in on that. For sure, they're both scoring.
So in the last 3 minutes, you decide to hop on a KBO parlay, and you're like, I'm in. Like, you're in on those. And every time you go, God love you, Hus, when you're like, look, I'm supporting the Taylor Swift thing, but she better never come to another game. It's so good.
It was easy. It was easy to have her come against the Bears and the Jets. Just saying now things are going to get a little bit more real.
Yeah.
It was great. It was perfect timing. It's perfect timing. But now we need to focus on the Vikings and everything going.
Pat Maroon's bib says, Hus is now Tay-Tay's #1 fan. Poster will be on his back wall before too long. In behind you there, Hus. I do like the idea of a Taylor, a Swift poster. That would be
she's number 2. She's number 2. Number 1 is and always will be Pat Mahomes, even after what happened last night on that final play. Hey, can we please talk about the Chargers-Raiders game for a minute?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, this was a battle of coaching incompetence. Unlike maybe anything that I've seen before. Rookie quarterback playing for the Raiders. You've got Josh Jacobs, who finally was cooking. I think he had like 25 or 26 fantasy points yesterday. They're on the goal line, first down. No, don't give it to Josh Jacobs. Have your rookie quarterback throw to the corner of the end zone, picked, done. And then Staley, God love him. We all remember going for it on his own 24 last week against the Minnesota Vikings, not getting it. The exact same thing happened again yesterday, and of course they didn't get it, and they have to do it again. And on top of it all, Asante Samuel got that pick, ran it out, immediately went down, could have maybe gone pick 6, could have easily had another 40 or 50 yards. And because Staley, according to him, told him to go down, it was before the 2-minute warning, so they were going to have to give it back. They run twice and then throw a 50-yarder on 3rd down. Palmer gets it, and it's game over. But man, both of those guys were doing their best to get the other team in it. The beautiful thing in the AFC West, we got Peyton and the disaster that is the Broncos, and then these two bozos running the other teams. No wonder the Chiefs win every year.
First off, it's actually hilarious that you get to deal with these boneheads in your division, and it's not fair. But for me, it's one. I know I texted you guys on the side in our group chat and was like, I have a confession to make. I did the thing again. I bet on the Chargers because I was gonna come in. I said my best, but you come in on Friday. I've got my best bets written out, and Chargers is right there at the top. And before I pop on, I just erase it because I'm like, I don't want to get laughed at off the stream because we keep saying we're going to stop betting on them. And then sure as shit, I bet on them again. But this time it actually worked. It worked this time. But boy, did they make it sweaty. And Brandon Staley, he has got to be the dumbest coach in the history of the NFL. And he is so lucky. He has such a talented team because that's what's keeping them alive. That's what's keeping them alive. But I feel for the guys on this team. I really do. I feel for Justin Herbert. Like, I think, like, where could this guy be if he didn't have an absolute moron for a head coach? And Hus, you say it, I think, every time we bring it up. I know they only gave up 17, but this guy's also supposed to be this defensive guru, and their offense is complete junk. I just talked about it. They've given up the third most amount of yards in the National Football League, and you're the defensive mind. Like, what is going on here? Even if they make the playoffs, I think you got to fire the guy anyways. Like, you just cut. If
they weren't so cheap, he's probably fired already. Like, they didn't want to pay him, and I think he's got one more year. So I don't know whether they're stuck with him or not. By the way, the other thing, and I can't remember the idiot's name on the Raiders, just typical moron. Tillery. That cheap shot on Herbert was so egregious. I mean, we were sitting at the bar, we're watching the Niners and McCaffrey going in every 5 minutes for a touchdown. And, the Patriots throwing up all over themselves. And I just sort of look and I walk, I'm like, did that just happen? I mean, we weren't watching it with sound, but he was so far out of bounds. It was a hard hit from a defensive tackle. And then Tillery's like, what? They're kicking me out of the game? I mean, I only expect that from the Raiders because they find new ways to stupidly poke themselves, shoot themselves in the foot over and over again. And that just fired up Herbert afterwards. And boom, in the end zone right after that. And to me, that 2-minute period of the game, as much as the coaches tried to screw it up afterwards, that was the game. And Herbert wasn't losing yesterday.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that Tillery played for the Chargers. He played with Herbert. And for me, I'm a Notre Dame fan. He played with the Irish, and he used to just, every couple of weeks would have just this bonehead, stupid penalty. And they felt that when he was with the Chargers, he finally got that out. And no, he stepped on guys. He's such a dirty player. It's really unfortunate because he was, at least in college and even in first couple of years in the NFL, really good player, but just stupid, dirty, cheap shots. You don't like that. But that just goes to show you how tough Herbert is, man. That guy takes an absolute licking each and every
all
game.
The time.
Back up. It's crazy. I did full disclosure, and I think I've said it on the show before. I was not really like coming into his career. Wasn't really a big Herbert guy. Maybe it's just because he lost me a lot of bets when I would bet on Oregon and bet the over, and they didn't put up 80 points. I just didn't believe. So it's like he'll be fine. He'll be okay. Within the last year, I've totally bought in, and I do truly believe if he's on a different team, we're talking about this guy being like a perennial MVP candidate year after year. He's so legit.
No, he is. Hey, speaking of quarterbacks, I'll give you guys each a guess. There are 3 QBs that have been playing all the games that have not thrown a pick yet. Can you name one of the 3 quarterbacks that have not thrown an interception?
And they played each game.
Yeah. Like they've been starting quarterbacks for the 4 weeks.
I don't know why, but part of me, I'm trying to think. One of them isn't Justin Fields, is it?
Nope. Definitely not.
Definitely not. Oh, gosh.
Here they are.
Let's hear it.
CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, and Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
Making
the short list.
Dobbs, you know what? And I think, listen, as much as Zona still isn't very good, the fact that they've now said, listen, Kyler's not coming back. This is the guy. And there, I don't know if you saw that video of Dobbs trying to go and get one of his own jerseys at the team store, and they had nothing. But listen, Purdy's just automatic. He doesn't really have to do much, although he's looked great when he does throw the football. They got Christian McCaffrey. Stroud's been unbelievable.
He's been Josh really Dobbs good.
Actually, been a bit of a player. By the way, can I just quickly, while we briefly mention the 49ers, who are steamrolling everybody, I'm getting pretty excited about that Christian McCaffrey 70-1 MVP vote.
Oh yeah.
MVP bet we had from the future shows. Like, I know it's always a quarterback award, but I mean, every quarterback so far this year has had some downs, and McCaffrey is just like here, and everybody else. It's the best fantasy start to his season in the last 24 years. He is so far ahead of everybody else from a stats perspective. And I mean, in a lot of ways, he's the catalyst of the number one team in the league. So we haven't heard a lot of the speculation or the talk about it yet, but mark my words, if this continues in the next month or so, we're going to
if anybody was going to do it, Hus, it's him, right? Like, it would be, he's the only guy that would even have a sniff of taking it away from a quarterback. So,
well, you think, okay, Allen has that bad first game.
Yeah.
Tua was not good.
Burrow's off the radar.
Exactly. No, Hurts. What his first really good game was yesterday. Herbert, his team is just too bad. He won't be there. Trevor Lawrence underperforming. I like it, Hus. I know Coolbet doesn't have the odds up just yet. I think they probably will be up a little bit later.
I'd be interested to see where that number is right now, right? As opposed to the 70.
I would be too. And if I had to guess, maybe Josh Allen is the favorite right now, just after what happened. And you know, these things, they change each and every week, but I would be inclined, depending on what that number is, Hus, and I'm going to be pissed I didn't get the number that you got it. I probably will jump on that because I totally agree. Did you guys see what his number was for an anytime touchdown scorer yesterday? It's like
let me guess.
Minus
240.
He already has the longest touchdown streak in 49ers history at 13 games. Well, he came over halfway through last season. I think he scored in every single game that he's played.
What a brilliant pickup. What a brilliant move.
He was well worth the money. Well worth the money. If you jumped on it and bit the bullet and took him in the auction at the start of the year, because he is absolutely fantasy magic right now. And oh, by the way, speaking of futures, you mentioned the Bengals. How about my Bengals to miss the playoffs at plus 275?
Looking good right now, buddy. Looking really good.
Are in a bad state right now. They got worked by the Titans yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know where they're supposed to go from here, considering the injury still lingering for Joe Burrow. I mean, the only thing that could really get them on track would be a healthy Joe Burrow, and it doesn't look like that's coming at any point, right, Patty?
And no, not at all. And just like, look at this stretch coming up for them. They got the Cardinals at Arizona next week. Not an easy game, which we just discussed, that they're a team that's played better. They have the Seahawks coming up, but then after that, 49ers on the road, and then they play, they host the Bills. So like at minimum, they have to finish 2-2 there at minimum, just with the way that their record is right now. Like, so you guarantee you have to beat the Cardinals, have to beat the Seahawks, and then you can afford maybe splitting or losing to both those other teams. Like they are in a world of hurt right now. It is panic, like hammer the, like You can't push that panic button any harder in Cincinnati right now.
No,
I don't think Harambe could save this season.
It might be a lost season. And at some point, if they keep losing, don't be surprised if they give Joe Burrow some extended time off.
Yeah.
He's the franchise. I mean, if he's not healthy, he's coming back early. If he's looking like he's looking like right now,
the last thing you want to do is make it worse, and then all of a sudden, you're going to lose him, and it's good. Yeah, you can't do that. Patty, do we got you for a little bit more? Like, you got to run at all? Because we might as well get to our Monday night. We might as well get to our Monday Night Football bets, and then maybe we can hit some Ryder Cup here before Hus has to jet. Because that was pretty good too. What's the spread at 2 right now? It hasn't moved since this morning, has it? Is it still sitting at 2? Looks like it's still
still for the Seahawks.
Minus 125 for the Seahawks on the money line.
Giants,
plus 155.
Yeah, so it hasn't moved at all since this morning because we had minus 125 from the Seahawks this morning. Patty, let's start with you, bud. Like anything that you love in this game tonight? Is this a heavy game for you, or are you kind of just going to take it easy on this one?
I think I'm going to go Seahawks money line. I might even buy a point, or sell a point, I guess would be the term, and get it to 3 goal.
Yeah.
Get some better juice on that, because the way that the Giants have played this year and the way that Daniel Jones has performed in prime time, it's more of a fade of play of this Giants team than it is of, backing the Seahawks. And I do have a little more faith that what we saw from last year with the Seahawks is a little closer to reality than what we saw with the Giants. I think there's a much bigger drop off with this Giants team. I think the magic has slipped out. They won a lot of close games in some crazy circumstances. And I think teams have kind of figured out the way that Brian Daboll is using Daniel Jones. And last week, we didn't even see him run the ball, which I think has been a really strong point for him. Daniel Jones in primetime is 1-2 straight up, including 0-5 straight up at home. And he's 1-4 against the spread in home primetime games. Not done just there. In his last 6 primetime games, he has 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions. He has not thrown for 200 yards in any of those 6 games, averaging just 150 passing yards per game. I'm sorry for the Danny Dimes slander. I was high on him last year. I thought he was a great fantasy football. If you're in a 2 quarterback league as QB2, not the case this year, and not the case in primetime. Whether even last year when he was playing well, he still stunk in primetime. Fading Danny Dimes, fading the Giants here, and going with the Seahawks.
I just want to quickly, Hush, you can take it after this, but I just want to quickly point out that that interception number is very interesting, because Danny Dimes over 0.5, so to throw an interception tonight, plus 106. So that one, I went looking to see what it was. I figured it might be on the other side of things, but I see it at plus 106 right now, and I don't know how we don't get on that right away.
Yep, that's an auto bet.
I'll be honest, I really wanted to take the Giants, the home dog, in this game. I just can't get there. I think a lot of people got thrown off the scent, if you will, of the Seahawks when they lost at home to the Rams as a big favorite in week number 1. But since then, they put up 37 in back-to-back games against Detroit, whose defense looked really good against Green Bay. And again, against Carolina, who is, one of the worst teams in the league. Like, I think that, and hey, let's not forget, this is Geno going back to MetLife too here. So
yeah, good point.
I really do think that, Seattle's going to get theirs. And I just have a hard time imagining that Giants offense without Saquon Barkley is going to be able to keep up. I mean, I gave out the Seahawks as our play of the day. I did that a little earlier today. Part of the reason was I wanted to see if there was a Matt Breida prop. It wasn't up then. It is up now. And the Breida rushing number is 44.5. He's looked really good, actually, since he has been in. I'm going to be on the over 44.5 on Matt Breida for tonight. That'll be the other one that I play. And again, Seahawks money line is probably the more prudent move at minus 125 as opposed to laying the 2. So that's, I think, the way that I'm going to go. But as much as I do think Seattle's going to get theirs, I do think Matt Breida is going to be a central focus in this offense. and I think he can get 45 or more yards.
Interesting on Breda, because I was looking at it, and I think his receiving yards is 13.5, and he really hasn't been involved much in that aspect of the game, right? Like, they're not treating him like they would have treated Saquon Barkley. He had 3 targets last week for 3 yards, and he didn't even have a target the week before. So I think I'm going to be under on the Matt Breida at 13.5 receiving yards tonight. I also like Seattle team total over 23.5. That's at -125 tonight. I'll obviously be on Seattle here, -2. Pat, you mentioned if you want to move Seattle to 3, you can do that. It'll be +113 if you like the Seahawks to roll there. As far as other Giants props go, I don't hate Slayton over 39.5 yards, just because Seattle's a little banged up on the corners, and they have to throw the ball to somebody at some point. And I know we always go, it's going to be Waller, but last time I went on with Waller, he pissed me off and didn't cover. So if I had to look at something else, and we'll dive into this a little bit later on, the Fantasy Football 5 today, but maybe the Slayton one. But I think I love the team total over 23.5. I'm on the Seahawks -2, and I don't know if they get Breda involved in the receiving game. I like Hus probably saying stick on the ground here a little bit more. He seemed to have been more effective in that situation, so that would be where I'm at tonight.
Yeah, for Giants props, that's really the only one that I like, is that Breida prop, maybe even him to score. Although I just don't know how many points they're going to put up on the board tonight. I took a look at Daniel Jones' rushing yards, because, again, I mentioned how they virtually took his rushing out, no design runs. He didn't really scramble. And you could see what the outcome was there, where we saw a lot of success last year was with those design runs, the RPOs. But it's at 34.5 at -120. So not enticing enough with the way that he's played and the way that we know how bad he's been in prime time. So I think I like the Breda. On the flip side, I really like Kenneth Walker on a few bets here. His rushing yards, I think it's at 66.5 at -123. I already bet that. It's obviously already gone up. I would still bet it at -123. I like him to score a touchdown as well. Just this Giants team, they can't stop the run at all. They're a bottom 6 in rushing yards per game at 138. They're giving up 4.2 rushes per play. This defense is not what we saw last year. A pesky, strong, hard-nosed defense. They're getting ran over. They're losing the battles in the trenches. So Kenny Walker, the third, going to hammer a couple props there for that. And let's see who else we've got on some JSN. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I kind of thinking that do we get a breakout game from him?
I don't know.
220 to score a touchdown. I'm a big college fan, so I saw what he was able to do at Ohio State. I'm waiting to see that. I'm waiting to see that come from him. Maybe this is the game, but at +220, I thought that number was going to be a little bit higher. Darren Waller +333, although I'm fading the Giants. Just kind of looking at some longer shots here that I like, but those couple that I gave out are my big plays. I do have a Patty's primetime parlay looking to go 3 straight here. This one's a pretty decent number too, +550, which has actually gone down. So I'm sure the lock choppers have been hammering it already. The staple over 3.5 field goals. Kenny Walker over 76 rush yards, and Wagner 4+ tackles. The sacks have been working for the Patty player prop.
Yeah.
Didn't really like any of the numbers on the sack, so I went with Wagner, who's generally all over the field for this Seattle Seahawks team. So him to record 4+ tackles, +550.
Excellent, Hush. You got a jet?
Yes, tomorrow on the show, we're going to need to get into this Blue Jays series.
Yes, we will.
Which begins tomorrow against the Twins. Lots of people around here making the trip down early tomorrow for the 2 games. I will tell you that the Jays are the slightest of underdogs. It's basically a pick on -104 for Blue Jays, -109 for the Twins. But in the series right now, Jays even money +100 to win the series. Twins -114. You've got Jays 2-1 is +275. Jays 2-0 is +300. Gosman is on the hill. So we're going to have to make some picks in tomorrow's lock shop for the game, which starts 3:30 here, I guess 4:30 out east, 2:30 for you, Dusty, tomorrow. So we'll get right into that before the game. And shout out to the Ryder Cuppers out there. God, I was so pumped on Saturday when I saw John Rahm first out for Europe. That was the one thing I hammered beforehand, and made up for a few. But man, it was great, and that celebration of the Europeans, Patty, I know you watched
Awesome.
it. Was
awesome.
It actually took me well into the first slate of games. I was doing it on PBR, and I couldn't stop watching everything afterwards. Next thing I go, oh my God, we're getting into the second quarter. We got to get back to football right now. But, it was an awesome weekend. Let you guys chop that up. WST coming up at 1, and we'll get ready for some playoff baseball chat tomorrow. But enjoy the game tonight, fellas. We'll talk to you then.
There you go. That's Hus, Winnipeg Sports Talk, coming up here right away as well. We got the oil stream coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Patty, we got just a couple of minutes here. Go ahead.
I was going to say, instead of maybe breaking down the Ryder Cup, do we want to quickly put together a partner parlay?
Yeah, we can.
The Monday night?
Yeah, we can. What are we thinking here?
Hus's play of the rush over, that would seem to be his strongest play,
for Breda.
So throw that in there. Yeah, Breda rushing yards.
Okay.
We all like Danny Dimes to throw a pick, maybe.
Yeah, Danny Dimes' pick would be good, and I don't mind that.
That could be my pick.
I don't mind the Walker touchdown though. I mean, throw that in. Did you already have that? No, you didn't have that in your Patty's primetime, right? So we could go Kenneth Walker touchdown, Danny Dimes pick, Matt Breda over, what was the number? 39.5 or something like that?
Let me pull that up. I should have had it already. I clicked her out. 44.5. Yeah.
44.5. Walker touchdown, Danny Dimes pick. I like that. That looks good.
I love that. I absolutely
let's throw that in there. That'll get us done, and then we'll talk. Hey, just quickly on the Jays before we let you go, and Hus and I'll dive into it tomorrow. Sure. But is there anything that, do you think that anything moves significantly before tomorrow in this? Is there anything guys should hop on right now, or kind of what you see is what you're going to get for the next little while?
No, I to be honest, I do think that if you think the Blue Jays are going to win, bet it now at plus money. Okay. I think we see it closer. I think by the time opening pitch goes tomorrow, especially if we see that the Twins have announced their starters.
Yeah.
Lopez is on the bump game 1. If we see that Gossman is on the bump for game 1 or Kikuchi, I think we could see that line moving even more.
All right, so get it now if you want it.
I think it's a public team. I think they're going to start hammering that number sooner rather than later.
All right, beauty buddy. Well, Hus and I will dive in tomorrow on the Lock Shop, brought to you by CoolBet. Thanks for popping by, man.
Thanks for having us, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, so let's get into the Fantasy Football 5, brought to you by Century Casino on Fort Road. Join Lieutenant Eric tonight for the Monday Nighter. Loaded burgers on special. They got the off-track betting. They are our official NFL partner here with Edmonton Sports Talk. We are planning a nice little party. Did Jay Milne say he was going to be there? Sometimes guys say, like, oh, yeah, I'll come. And then, something happens. He's got 3 young daughters. I'm not going to hold my breath. But we'd love to see him there. That would be absolutely great. What are you looking at, Wanik?
Well, is my mic on here?
Yeah.
I don't have my headphones in. Sorry. Jay texted me and Tommy after saying thanks for accepting my self-invite to Thursday Night Football.
All right,
so
perfect.
he's making it very, and he says it's his Commanders and it's the Bears. He's a Commanders fan.
Oh, he is a Commanders fan. That's right.
I'm now just gonna say he's there.
He's there.
And if he's not there, he's really disappointed us.
I forgot that he's a Commanders fan. Yeah, he'll be there then. All right, well, that'll be good. There's another one. We're trying to get as many people as we can out on Thursday night to the Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino Fort Road for the Thursday Nighters. So, maybe only get out to a few games a year. Make this one of them. We're looking forward to having our whole crew down there. YouTube Trev, Eric, Maddie, Tommy, Jay Milne from the Hangout will be down there now as well. So lots on the go there. As for tonight's game, we actually had a trade in one of our fantasy leagues I want to bring up. So we'll get into that. Starts and sits for the Monday Nighter. This is pretty, I would think if you're playing daily fantasy, this is where this comes in handy. But I think both quarter. to get involved in to actually have some positive things happen in the running attack tonight. I'm very curious to see if this game gets scripted to the point where maybe they do end up having to involve Breda in the passing game, something that hasn't happened since he kind of took over there. Slayton would be a little bit of a, if you need somebody's out, you're trying to jam somebody in late in the week. He probably has decent value in daily fantasy, so Slayton's a guy that I might consider as well, just because the Seahawks defense slightly banged up on the corners. I think his number was like 39.5 over at Cool Bet as well. And then this was a trade that went down. If you have any fantasy questions, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. That is our text line. And, of course, in the – is our audio?
It was, I accidentally
Oh. Get it together, Maddie. So we're back? Okay, we're back. Let me quickly reset this. Quickly on the starters for tonight. So on Smith and Jones. If you have to, not the end of the world. Jones could get you some points on the ground. Smith could end up having a pretty decent game through the air. Walker's a must start. Metcalf's a must start. Lockett's been targeted 17 times in his last 2 games. You're starting him. You're starting Waller. I think Breda's a tough spot start here. I don't know if I'd put him into the lineup if you're building some sort of daily fantasy just for this game tonight. And I don't hate Darius Slayton as well. And then I was going to get into a trade. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. And we'll get to those. This trade happened in a league that Matt and I are actually in together. A New York Giants fan acquired Matt Breida. Now, he also is the Saquon owner, is he not? I'm pretty sure Tuna is the Saquon owner. So Saquon's owner acquired Matt Breida and an 11th round pick in exchange for a 5th round pick and DJ Dallas. So I like that. I mean, if that's an easy way to get a handcuff in and a guy that you can actually use right now. So, I mean, moving from the 11th round to the 5th round in that league, when we keep like 90 guys between the 16 teams, our draft falls off after the 3rd round. So there's not a huge difference between a 5th rounder and an 11th rounder, in my opinion. So I like that deal to actually move up in that spot. So yes, anytime you want to slide into my DMs, if you're looking for fantasy advice, you can do that as well. And we can get to some of those as we work our way through the week. Tomorrow we'll be taking an early look at the waiver wire coming up for week 5. Probably shouldn't be anything too crazy this week, but we'll take a closer look at it tomorrow on the Fantasy Football 5. Once again, though, if you ever have any questions, you can actually just go to edmontonsportstalk.com and scroll on down to the bottom, and there's an easy comment section, and you just pop it right in, hit send, come straight to the email. So we can get those taken care of as well. Richard in says, thanks for another great lock shop today. No breaks, plenty of content. I look forward to it daily. Well, that's nice, Richard. Hopefully you look forward to all of our content here at edmontonsportstalk.com. Fantasy Football 5 brought to you by great partners at Century Casino. And don't go anywhere. We are going to try to send you right over to the oil stream. And it's game day for the Edmonton Oilers. We've got line combinations we're going to get to. Sutter is not going to be around. And we'll get to a whole lot more with Tommy Gazzola, also a new partner on the oil stream today as well. So we'll get into that. Make sure you don't go anywhere. And if you're listening online and you have any sort of Oilers questions, fire them over now. 780-218-9999. Stick around on YouTube. We will be firing up the oil stream in about 3